Boxing Lowdown, and I'm back here with another Mythical Monday video. Now, as always, guys, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Feel free to drop a comment if you like, and I'll happily get back to you. Now, let's get straight into it. A pure fantasy fight, this one right here. Mike Tyson against George Foreman in their primes. Who would have won? A fight that is often discussed about, a fight that is often spoken about. You know, these two guys at the height of their careers, you know, struck a reign of fear in the heavyweight division. It's a shame that they didn't get to meet, of course, but it was discussed quite a bit. But they never would have actually got to meet in their primes. Big George Foreman, his prime was, you know, around the 70s, and Mike Tyson's prime, you know, his real prime was around the 90s. And like, yeah, it was just, I grew up, you know, my first, you know, introduction to boxing, so to speak, was through Mike Tyson. Do you know what I mean? He struck a reign of fear in the heavyweight division, youngest heavyweight champion of all time. And when he was at the height of his powers, man, he was just unstoppable, untouchable. He just was that guy, you know what I mean? He was blitzing through the heavyweight division at the time. And, you know, a lot of people always say, even now, even today, they say the Mike Tyson that was in his prime could have beaten anyone. He could have done this, he could have done that. Is that specifically true? I mean, I'm going to speak about it in this video because George Foreman was another heavyweight that really did put fear in the heavyweight division. Before he met Muhammad Ali, George Foreman was that guy. You know, everybody was scared to death of George Foreman. These two guys, at the height of their powers, were the most feared heavyweight champions, I'd say. You know, you got to put Sonny Liston in there as well. But these two guys here, they were two of, should I say, the most feared heavyweight champions at their time when they were in their prime. So imagine what it would have been like if these two actually fought each other in their primes. Like I said, we missed the boat in terms of that. Both of them competed in different generations. But Mike Tyson, let's start with him, man. Like I said, I grew up on Mike Tyson. Like, he was the guy that I really got into boxing with. Just everything about him. You know, he was menacing. He was so quick, you know, his speed and, you know, just the bad intentions behind every punches that he threw. He was just like, yeah, under Customato and Kevin Rooney, those guys. I mean, Mike Tyson was just steamrolling everybody. And, you know, unfortunately, Customato did pass away while he was at the height of his career. And, you know, that always would have hit Mike Tyson. That's another question that a lot of us boxing fans, you know, like to say, how good would Mike have been if Customato stayed alive? Do you know what I mean? But listen, he forged a great career for himself. And until he met Don King, so to speak, a lot of people would say, you know, Mike Tyson was on the up, but then it started to go down rapidly. The fame got to him. You know, I mean, the Mike Tyson story has been told a million times. But yeah, we saw what happened in 1990 when he lost to Buster Douglas in a massive upset, one of the biggest upsets of all time. Now, this is my question here. Was Tyson in his prime then? Do you know what I mean? How was he able to lose to Buster Douglas if he was in his prime? How would he have done against George Foreman in his prime? George Foreman's another one. I mean, he was just striking a reign of terror in the heavyweight division before he met Muhammad Ali. I remember before him and Ali were supposed to fight, a lot of people were really, you know, concerned for the well-being and the welfare of Muhammad Ali. They thought that this was a terrible matchup for him, but he overcame the odds in a massive upset. And then we all saw what Muhammad Ali went on to achieve. Since both of them suffered their first defeats, Mike Tyson and George Foreman, the kind of aura around them, the invincibility kind of disappeared a little bit, as is always the case when a fighter suffers a loss. But in terms of the fear, there wasn't as much fear around both of them after they had suffered their losses, man. And I want to speak about, you know, if they did fight each other in their prime. Now, George Foreman had a lot of physical advantages over Mike Tyson, but I'll stop right there because a lot of heavyweight opponents that Mike Tyson fought had a huge physical advantage over him. However, George Foreman is not just any heavyweight champion, not just any heavyweight. This guy was huge. He was menacing. He would have been a lot bigger than Tyson, as you've seen. They call him Big George Foreman for a reason. So he had a significant height advantage, a significant reach advantage, just a lot bigger. In terms of speed, obviously he wasn't as quick as Mike Tyson. He could be seen as a bit of a plodder. Would he have been cannon fodder for Mike Tyson? Would Tyson have been able to, you know, get in there and wing away? I would have been a bit concerned for him in this fight. I'm not going to lie. I think a prime George Foreman would have been a horrible fight for even a prime Mike Tyson. I'm saying it. I'm saying it. I think he would have been a horrible fight for him in terms of the punching power. I mean, both of them have got a lot of power, but I think George Foreman could have had more power than Mike Tyson. I think it was the speed and the way how Tyson would catch you when you're not aware with his shots that took a lot of people out. George Foreman just had menacing power, man. One of the hardest hitters in the heavyweight division of all time, one of them. And yeah, I think that this wouldn't have been a good fight for Tyson. And I would have picked George Foreman to win this one, probably by like 8th, 9th round stoppage maybe. I just think that he was just too big, too imposing, and just too physically menacing for even a prime Mike Tyson. And that says a lot. That does say a lot, because I know what some people say, particularly the casuals with Mike Tyson in his prime. They say, oh, a prime Mike Tyson, nobody could have beaten him. And you look at the highlight reel knockout, you see what he did. You know, they can make a case for it, but go back and look at George Foreman as well, man. This guy was just a reign of terror. He was a menace. And I'm picking him in this week's Mythical Monday matchups video. It would have been violent. It would have been ugly. It would have been, you know what I mean? It's one of those fights where you got to hide behind the sofa. I remember I said that about Gervonta Davis and Edwin Valero. Go and check that Mythical Monday video out. This right here would have been the same sort of thing. This would have been a hide behind the sofa, real, you know, ugly sort of like, you could see it ending horribly. Do you know what I mean? I'm picking George Foreman though. I'm going to pick him to win this one. But let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section below, guys. Like I said, there were talks about these two fighting. Even when George Foreman, you know, came back and he became heavyweight champion, the oldest heavyweight champion in history. That just goes to show what sort of power he had. Even at, what was it, 45 years old or 44, 45, he was able to come back and win a portion of the heavyweight title, knocking out Michael Moorer, who was fancied to win, and he was a heavyweight that was on the up. He was one of the good heavyweights of the 90s. George Foreman came back and beat him. Do you know what I mean? Knocked him out. And that was an old George Foreman. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I would have picked him to beat Iron Mike. Both of these guys will go down in history, man, as we all know. But I would have went with Big George Foreman. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you disagree with me, let me know why. If you agree with me, let me know why. Always good to read your comments, guys. And I love your participation in these Mythical Monday videos. So let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below. Recommendations as well for any Mythical Monday matchups, let me know. And I'll catch you on the next video.